speaking of your love for gaming, it's cool to see where it came from and all that. But now you've transitioned not just to love games, but to share it with the world through your channel called The Game Leader. So, where did it come to y'all to want to say, hey, we want to put this out there for people, we want to stream, create videos, and where did the name The Game Leaders come from? Let everybody know.
I'll take that one.
Yeah, I'll let him
Okay.
start.
So, in 2015, I was playing The Witcher, and I had started seeing like content on it. In 20, like I never really watched YouTube. I never watched people stream. I never watched content. I just played games to play games. Every now and then I would look at guides and stuff like that, but for the most part, I never really consumed any content that was gaming related. So in 2015, I was like, man, I think it'd be cool to do like something like YouTube or something on Witcher, because I had started
Yeah.
consuming content on Witcher 3. I didn't do it, and it just kind of like a fart in the wind, just kind of left. And I had always kind of been talking about it with friends, like I think it'd be cool to start a YouTube channel, just trying to get some. I was just trying to fish for someone to be like, you should totally do it, man. But it just didn't happen. So in 2017, I'll kind of skip forward a couple of years.
Yeah.
I had continued talking about it, and I had friends, and I was talking to them about like, hey, it'd be cool to do a YouTube channel. And finally, they were like, whoa, you know what? It'd be great. I would love to do that with you. Blah blah blah. And I was like, oh yeah, I got somebody. I got somebody on the line here. And we started talking through it. And 2017, we went to E3. So that was our first year
Nice.
at E3 2017. And I was like, I was like, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. We're just gonna go. We're gonna talk about E3. And we're gonna start a YouTube channel, and we're gonna start a podcast, and we did. So that's when the channel was created. Was in June of 2017. We created our channel.
Mind you,
and
I wasn't part of that.
She was like a background character.
No,
like
I wasn't.
she was part
No,
of
I
it, but
wasn't.
just kind of in spirit.
No, I wasn't.
So I started the channel with a couple of my friends, and I was really thinking about like, what name do we pick, right? And at that point in life, we were getting loot crates, and the loot crates were the ones that came in. You got Funko Pops and
Monthly
T-shirts and stuff like
subscription,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I love gaming. And at this point, we were starting a podcast. We weren't really starting a YouTube channel. It was the YouTube channel just to funnel our podcast so we could talk about games through. And I was like, well, there's multiples of us, and I don't want it to be like Dom's YouTube channel or Dom's game. I want it to be like a brand. I was very specific. I was like, it needs to be a brand, so it needs to be multiple. So, I was looking at my loot crate, and I was like, you know what, looters, like, people who like loot stuff, they're like treasure achievement hunters. They're going to do so. I just made up the name. I was like, okay, the game looters, and I was like, well, that seems like something that is something that somebody can remember. It seems like something that'd be good for like a brand. It seems like something that could be good on like a card or a shirt or something like that. And that's the name that we rolled with. And we then basically we started the channel, we started the podcast, and we went for like about a good 7 weeks strong, 7, 8 weeks strong, because it was about 8 or 9 episodes weekly to semi-weekly.
Yeah.
When I could get a bunch of hooligans together in a room to actually record an episode worth of thing. And we put it out there, thinking that we're gonna be the next thing since sliced bread, and nothing happened. And because nothing happened, the people that I started the YouTube channel with began to lose interest. And the reality is, when you are a video creator, when you're creating any kind of content of any kind, it's really hard to take in putting something that you're passionate and putting love into, and nobody gives a F about.
Yeah.
And nobody watches, nobody consumes. And what ended up happening is I continued to champion it because I was actually passionate. I was like, you know what? I started it. I'm never giving up. This is it. This is forever. But the people that I started with, they began to lose faith. And then it went from weekly to bi-weekly to I think they might come over in November to shoot one more episode. And then by like episode 11, which was probably about 9 weeks removed from 10, they just basically fell out. So within like a 6-month time frame, it went from hype to basically they're out of the game. So that's kind of where she began to come in. I was like, hey,
I was the filler.
I need to get this contest. She was.
I
Filler.
was the backup person.
I was
Yeah,
like,
I was literally coming in when they wouldn't make it. He's like, hey, we need to record this video. I was
Yeah.
like, no.
I was like, hey, I need to get this out. At that time, this is the year of the Switch, right? Breath of the Wild
Yeah.
and Odyssey was coming, and things were happening and moving and grooving. And I was like, you know what? We need to get it out. And some people can do it, and the people who tend to do it already have a pretty large audience that is there for just them. But when you're really small, it's hard to do like a one-man show. You know what I mean? Especially because the reality is, when you're doing a one-man show and you have a really small audience of maybe 2 people if you're lucky, nobody really cares. So I was like, well, I need to have somebody else there to kind of bounce ideas with, to conversate with. And that's when she came in, and I begged and I pleaded, and she was like, fine, I hate you, but I'll do it. And that's when it slowly started.
Yeah, it
and
was bad in the beginning.
and we did around another 10 episodes or so, another 10 weeks, 12 weeks of podcast.
Now, mind you, let me give you some backstory on me.
Sure.
I had just recently given birth.
Oh.
You did.
Yes. And to our youngest son. And so we would try to find times around his napping, sleeping schedules, to try to like bust out these recordings. And sometimes it wasn't feasible. So like if you go back to like archives, you can see Dom like jumping like this because he's like with his foot, he's like,
and I was trying to play it off.
Baby.
So I was talking with my hands and stuff. But
sleep.
reality, there's
I'm
a
going to
baby,
the
like a
archives
little
of the
baby
Game Leaders.
bouncer
Let me
at
see.
my feet.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
So, but anyways, but long story short, so that's what ended up happening. She began to come in. But then, much like it was before, nobody was still watching. So then we started to experiment. And I started to do different content like reviews. So I started putting reviews out there. We did a couple of different reviews.
Unboxings, because we were still doing the loot crates.
Yeah, we did some unboxing. This is when
Nice.
this is what you begin to do when you're trying to discover who you are and what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
So we did unboxings. We would do reaction videos. So we, just like we do now, right? Like a Nintendo Direct came out, we would do that. PlayStation events came out, Xbox E3 events. So we began to experiment. And it wasn't about till the beginning of towards the tail end of 2018. And she came to me, and she had at this point been consuming a lot of Destiny 2 content, because Destiny 2 was just around. I think it came out in September. So towards the tail end of 2018, she was consuming a lot of content on Twitch and on YouTube, and watching just people who were streaming. Nothing special.
He noticed it. I'm just like on my phone, just watching it.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, why don't we do that? And
I was like, what do you mean? He's like, why don't we just play video games?
Yeah.
But do what they do, like stream it or pre-record it kind of thing. And I was,
And that's kind of where it started. It was like, okay, well, now we're streamers. You know what I mean? So now we're streaming. Now we're going to stream. And this ended up being the narrative. And I'm taking you through the whole journey here.
That's fine. Go ahead.
It ended up being like the narrative throughout 2019 of, we're streaming, and we experimented, dude, with Twitch. We experimented with Mixer, RIP. We experimented with YouTube. You know what I mean? So we've done it, like we've been on all of them, and we've struggled. We did the Twitch only streams, the Mixer only. We're trying to get discovered. And we did all of that throughout 2019. And
I was still uncomfortable being on camera. I mean, I hated being on camera. When we first started streaming, I was like, look, I'm just barely getting comfortable just being on camera, and now you want me to be live on camera? Like, at least if I'm recording it, if I mess up, you can edit it out. I was like, I don't know about being live.
Yeah.
And so in the very beginning, you see a lot of videos where I'm not even here, and you just hear me on voice chat kind of thing, and it was just solely his presence.
Yeah, so like the end of 2018, we were streaming Pokemon Let's Go, and that's really where like that's really where it started. And like she said, she'd be here, but just kind of in body, but not really, participating. She wasn't talking to the 5 people who were watching us at that time.
No.
She was just kind of chilling and hanging out. But what ended up happening during that time is, we got raided by a really large Pokemon channel.
Oh
And
yeah.
I was like, holy crap, I gotta step up my game. And that's kind of where the narrative, continues on into 2019, as that's when we began streaming 5 days a week. It started to be more both of us than just one of us. She started to participate more. We started doing Resident Evil last year. We did
Nice.
all the things we did throughout the whole year. We did Pokemon Sword and Shield when it came out. We did a ton of different games. If you look at our live stream playlist, and most of it's not public, we have like 400 videos on there. Like we literally stream five
Wow.
days a week, every single
Yeah.
week, nonstop. And last year I was focusing on trying to find outside of streaming, because if you just stream, it's almost impossible to grow still if you only do streams. So I was trying to figure out what kind of supplemental content can I do that could actually bring people in to streams. And kind of towards the tail end of last year, I finally figured it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I finally figured it out, and the what ended up happening was I was like, I began to discover things in games towards the tail end of last year, like Pokemon Sword and Shield. And I was like, as I discovered things, I was like, I would ask her. She was my muse, or the person I would go to kind of bounce things. I was like, hey, do you know how to do this? And the moment she would answer no, I'd be like, okay, if you don't know, that means other people who are playing the game just like you don't know. And I began to do content that was like how to's and guides and helpfulness and stuff like that.
Nice.
And that's where our brand started. So the tail end of last year, we had 600 subscribers.
We were trying
And
to get to 500 before the end of the year.
yeah,
And I think we ended the year with like what, 700?
close to.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we broke the record even before we hit the end of the year.
And then that's
And that was
really
just 500.
and then that's really where it continues. We continued hammering home all the Pokemon content. We started changing what we did, and we not only did the how-to and helpful content with Pokemon, but began streaming Pokemon. So the people who would, get helped, they would also be able to come in and be entertained with said game. And then it's just kind of continued throughout this year. Obviously, we stream a lot of Animal Crossing. We do a lot of helpful videos, Animal Crossing. And we've just kind of become a very specific channel that you can come to
Yeah.
get help with certain games. But then we also sprinkle on the reaction videos still, but mostly for the most part around like Nintendo and stuff. And that's kind of our journey, our very long journey here on the platform.
Yeah. So
Still trying to claw and